You or a loved one is resistant to a smart home. And I get it, that's completely fair. It kind of complicates things that don't need to be complicated, potentially. It has a negative connotation, the smart home. You know, it's nerd stuff. And it's gadgets all around the house, and it doesn't have to be that. I think there's a way to make your smart home kind of invisible. And maybe you don't think of it as a smart home, you just think of it as a home with some tech in it. And that's the way I like to think about it. But let's talk through what is a smart home. Now, I think there are a few contenders that one could argue makes it a smart home, but there's one to me that really sticks out as the thing. So let's go through a few. Maybe you have a bunch of devices that you can control by your phone, both inside your house and outside your house. Does that make it a smart house? I don't think so. If you think of devices like the Nest thermostat or the Ring doorbell, those are so common in houses at this point. The houses are being built with Ring doorbells now. And it's almost a no-brainer to have a Ring doorbell. You want to know what's going on in your front yard while you're gone. You want to know who stole the box off your front porch. Those devices are so commonplace at this point, I don't think people are thinking they're building a smart home when they buy a Ring doorbell. I think they're just being smart about their home security. Or maybe you live in a house that has a HomePod or an Echo device. Does that make it a smart house? I don't think this does either, because what if you don't have any smart devices that you're controlling with your voice? And you're just using these devices to ask what time it is, or ask the weather today, or having it play music. This alone does not make your house a smart house. Given that Siri is on your phone or your watch, these little devices are just kind of an extension of that. So I'm ruling this one out too. Or maybe you do have some devices around the house, like some smart bulbs, some switches, smart door lock, things of that nature. And you're using the Apple Home app or the Alexa app, and you've consolidated them all into one place, and you've set parameters, and you have automations that you've set up that are running here and there. If they all run very smoothly in the background and a guest comes over and nobody is the wiser, we're getting there, but I don't think anybody is necessarily gonna call you out for having a smart home. So the one damning thing, to me, that makes your house a smart house is when it reveals itself. A rogue automation in the middle of the night turns the lights on. Or you flip a switch to turn a light on and the light doesn't turn on, but the garage door opens. Or you ask Alexa what time it is and she starts playing the news, and no matter how loud you yell to stop, she just keeps going and going and going. That's when you've got a smart house. And that's where the negative connotation comes from. So let's find some common ground to build a smart home that doesn't reveal itself and retains most of the qualities of a traditional home. First, all of your smart devices need to be able to be controlled locally. A light bulb has a switch on the wall that you can flip on and off, turning the light on and off. Locks have physical keys that you can use to lock and unlock, and you're not relying on your voice or the internet to control something that you might need instantaneously. Second, let's look for devices that aren't terribly futuristic looking, and they can fit nicely in your house and retain a traditional look. So light bulbs look like light bulbs. Another good example is the level bolt is a smart lock that no one will ever know is there. I don't know of a lot of smart doorbells that look like an old school doorbell, so that one you might have to compromise on. 3, let's start with minimally invasive automations, common sense automations, like the lights turning on outside at sunset. That's been a thing for a century, I think. Or the fan in the bathroom turns on when it senses humidity. Things like that aren't gonna bother anybody if they go rogue. And once you've figured them out a little bit, you can start adding more. And speaking of which, let's do all of your installations and testing, automation testing, when you're either at home alone or when the house is pretty quiet. You don't want to disrupt dinner time with the lights going on and off, or kill the heat in the house when it's 20 degrees outside. And maybe you should have a trusted family member help you stress test some of these smart devices or some of these automations. You never know, other people in the house may use devices differently than you or have different expectations of the devices. So getting their input is actually very helpful in figuring out how you need to configure each device that you install. And my last piece of advice is to prioritize reliability over cool features. A lot of smart devices like to really push the cool features, like different colored light bulbs or a thermostat that's gonna learn your ways. And honestly, they sometimes add in variability that you don't wanna be dealing with or your family members don't wanna be dealing with. So if you find that you're pressing really hard to make something work or it's fickle, then you need to abandon ship and just find something reliable. Because I guarantee you, that's where the focus of the smart home discussion is gonna be when it comes up. The lights didn't turn on, the garage door didn't open, the front door didn't unlock. It's so easy to point to these things, so you gotta make sure you get the reliable devices. Because no matter how tuned your house is, these things are gonna happen anyway. So you don't wanna add more variables where you don't have to. This isn't a new industry, but it is still being built and it's got a long way to go. And I do think 2025 is a great year to get into it. You'll find that a lot of these reliable devices already exist or are coming out soon. So I really do hope that you open your mind to the smart home and explore what's available and see that you can build that smart home that doesn't feel like a smart home, and it does have that traditional feel to it that you love so much and isn't gonna reveal itself to all your guests who walk through your front door. If you found this helpful, I really hope that you like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.